It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Great moments are born from great opportunity. And that's what you have here. That's what you've earned here tonight.
Forget about the crowd. It's the size of the school. Their fancy uniforms. And remember what got you here. If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential, to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game, in my book, we're going to be winners.
On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch because we know when we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the difference between winning and losing.
It's down to the wire with Errol Marks and Speedy Petey.
Oh, Petey!
On the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Down to the Wire. Remember, you can reach us by going to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. You can call us at 631-965-4990, ladies and gentlemen. And remember, guys, you can also go to our app. How do you do that? You go to iOS, you go to WWSRN, or you can go to Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. That's what we're going to be doing. And by the way, shout out to Eric Coleman. Great shows yesterday. The pregame show for the New York Jets, he was fantastic. The postgame show for the New York Jets. The unfortunate thing is the Jets completely got kicked and kicked around and thrown around by a team like the Buffalo Bills. But we'll get into that in a few minutes. Speedy, how you doing?
I'm good. Happy for football being back.
I'm not.
Yeah, that was a bad showing by the Jets. I mean, I don't have expectations for my Giants either. They play tonight starting at
your Giants. They're your team.
Yeah, they're my team.
Do you own them?
Well, I know I don't own them. If I owned the New York Giants, I would not be here right now.
Well, you just said your team. So if it's your team,
the team I root for.
All right, that's better. That's what I want to hear.
Is that more specific?
That is more specific. I mean, you have to be a little bit more specific when you talk about a certain team or a certain player. If it's your player, then you're his boyfriend, right?
Oh my God!
I'm just speaking the truth. I'm just asking you for the truth to every single thing that we talk about on this show. So, anyways, we have a great show lined up for you guys. At 6:30, we'll be talking to Colorado punter recruit, 5-star recruit, Ashton Logan. And at 7:15, we'll be talking to Oregon safety recruit, Marko Vidackovic. Vidackovic. That's it.
Almost.
Vidackovic.
There you go.
But that's an interesting name. He will not... if I'm not mistaken, he will not be a college player until 2024. He's
Correct.
part of the recruitment class of 2024. It's crazy.
Yeah, and he's already with Oregon.
Yeah. But anyways, Mark, you're making a lot of noise over there. You know, you can mute your camera if you can over there. That would be really helpful. Anyways, that was Mark Kelly, by the way. He's live in Alabama. We're going to have him on the show in a few minutes. But as you guys know, I really want to before we get into football and before we get our special guests, and we have a lot to talk about today, I want to get into the New York Mets because somebody named Josh from Off the Mat, who's a big Met fan, just sent me a message that it is now closed, that Uncle Stevie is now going to be the new owner of the New York Mets.
About time.
So there will no longer be the Wilpons. It will be Uncle Stevie running the show. So what does that do for the New York Mets in the organization? What it does is it gives them a qualified owner that's the richest owner now in professional baseball. He is going to be, he's worth about $15 billion. He will be the richest owner in the major leagues. You look at the big picture right now with the New York Mets. Now they can start opening up their pockets, something they haven't done since the whole Madoff thing. That was about 9 years ago. So now the Mets will open up their deep pockets and maybe go after JT Realmuto in the offseason, a catcher who I think is the best catcher in baseball, all-around catcher in baseball. This is a good story for the New York Mets because now they can add some talent to this squad where they practically got rid of certain players in the offseason because they couldn't afford them. Now you have a guy that has deep pockets that will spend money. I'm sure Jacob deGrom is probably scratching his head right now because he took less money to stay with the Mets, where if Uncle Stevie was running the show, he'd probably making $250, $300 million.
Maybe the highest paid
like
pitcher
Garrett
in baseball.
Cole. Yeah. So unfortunately, the Wilpons are no longer, well, it's fortunate that the Wilpons are no longer the owners of the team, but now they have a fortunate owner that is actually going to spread his dollar and open up the checkbook for the New York Mets and help the Mets out where they're very weak in their farm system right now. Their farm system is very dry. They don't have any pitching. They don't have any relief pitchers. They don't have any regular day players as far as guys that can play in all different positions. So buying the New York Mets and helping the New York Mets, this is a guy that's been a Met fan since he was a kid. He's from the Great Neck area, the Plainview area. This is a guy that's one of the richest people in the world. So being that he's a Long Island native and he likes to he wants to help the Mets win a championship. The Mets, who haven't won a World Series since 1986, this is a team that's screaming for a championship. And being that they play in the same city as the New York Yankees, a team that's completely dominating professional sports here in New York, in every sport. You're talking about football, baseball, hockey, basketball, tennis, every single sport in professional sports here in New York. The team to watch and the team to talk about is the New York Yankees. So now the Mets have a guy that's going to open up his pockets and give the Mets something that they haven't had, and that's called dollars to the cent.
Please. So, I mean, as a Mets fan, so sick of them getting all these cheap, older, injury-prone outfielders every year just because they can't develop position players.
And Josh keeps saying that the Mets have pitching. You don't know if they have pitching. First of all, if you look at their draft, the last 2 years, they've had good drafts. Brody Van Wagen, that's probably the best thing he's ever done, was his draft. But you don't know if these pitchers or these guys that you drafted are going to be players for the major leagues, especially in the MLB, in the NFL, in the NHL, and all the other different sports, the NBA. You know if they're going to be good or not in the first 2 or 3 years. In baseball, they might not leave single A or double A or triple A, or they might be triple A players for the rest of their career. You don't know if they're going to be major league players. For you to say that they have pitching in their farm system, you don't know if they have pitching. So, Josh, as much as I love you and you're a big Met fan, you can't honestly sit here and tell me that the Mets have pitching in the farm system.
He mentions Matt Allen, Josh Wolf, and JT Ginn. I like Wolf. He was one of my favorite of the prospects that were kind of on the fringe of being good prospects for the Mets, like later on. But the other two, it's still pretty far away.
So, I don't want to get into the New York Mets because we have a lot of other things to talk about, and we have a lot of other sports to talk about. Obviously, week number 1 for the NFL, we're going to get into that in just 1 second. But if any Met fans want to be excited, you should be excited today because now they have a new owner in Steve Cohen, who Met fans have been waiting for. Met fans have been waiting for a new owner to take over this team, take over for this organization, an organization that's been in a state of flux for years because they don't open their pockets. They put too much faith in Bernie Madoff, who's sitting in jail for the next 125 years. And they have no money, and they had to get rid of their team, and they really had to fill in some of the places that they lost money over the last couple of years. So Steve Cohen is now the new owner of the New York Mets. So Met fans should be very excited and very happy about that. I do want to get into the New York Jets yesterday, and I know everybody heard me. If you didn't hear me on Weapons Hot, I'm very upset about this team. I am extremely upset about this team. And I know a lot of people want to point fingers and really take shots at Sam Darnold because of how horrendous his day was. And it was horrendous. It was bad. But this isn't Sam Darnold's fault. This isn't. This has everything to do with one person and one person only. It's the coach. It's the guy that runs the ship. It's the guy that runs this team. It's the guy that has been speaking over and over and over again for the last couple of weeks saying that we're going to surprise a lot of teams. Surprise them to what? Getting pretty much knocked off in the first quarter? Giving up 21 points in about, 15 minutes? And you lost the game before the game even started. So I know a lot of people want to point fingers at Sam Darnold, but there are a lot of different things that happened yesterday in the Jets game that I can really nitpick on the reason why the Jets lost that game. We talk about the coaching because we know the coaching is horrendous, but that's number one. Number two is the tackling. I don't know what the heck the Jets were doing yesterday, but in the first 2 quarters, they couldn't tackle a nosebleed. Okay? Me and Speedy could have been on the field, and these guys are twice the size of Speedy. And Speedy probably would have gotten away from even guys. And there are a lot of things there are a couple of good things about the New York Jets. Marcus May being one of them. But he couldn't tackle in the first quarter either. So, again, when you look at the Jets right now, the two big things that really stood out to me, besides the separation of the wide receivers, and we'll get into that in just 1 second, is the coaching, which Adam Gase is clueless. He doesn't have any idea what he's doing. And I do believe by week 5, week 6, if we see this Jet team the way we see right now, this Jet team will not have a coach. They will have Greg Williams taking over the defensive coordinator. He'll be taking over for the next head coach for the New York Jets for the rest of the season, because I don't think if this team plays the way they played yesterday, that Adam Gase won't get fired after week 5. But not even that. The tackling was horrendous. Avery Williamson didn't play in the game. I was very surprised. I thought Avery was going to play in week number 1. They're saying that he might not be back until week number 3. The injuries to significant players. They lost Cashman early into the game, really after the first play. Cashman is out. Their starting linebacker, their inside linebacker. So that really affected the Jets. And also, Le'Veon Bell. Losing Le'Veon Bell for a significant amount of time. Supposedly, this is a hamstring injury. Usually when you hear hamstring injuries, you're talking about 4 to 5 weeks. And we all know about Denzel Mims, who was put on IR today. If you're put on IR, it means you're probably going to be sitting out 4 to 5 weeks. So you're probably not going to see Denzel Mims until the week break, where they have the week off. So now you're looking at the New York Jets. You're not going to see your star wide receiver, who could really give separation and open up the field for some of these wide receivers like Perriman, who everybody thought was going to be fantastic. He was horrendous. I don't know where the hell he was. Herndon.
He probably got number 1 receiver or corner attention from Tre'Davious White, I would imagine.
That has nothing to do with anything.
With Mims
Let's see. Who cares? Take White out next week. Who they play San Francisco? You're going to make the excuse with Richard Sherman, the old Richard Sherman. It's an excuse, okay? When you're talking about high hopes for this kid Perriman, and you heard he was a number 1 draft pick, he was a top first-round draft pick, and how he was the best wide receiver in football the last 4 weeks of the season last year, and then completely bombed on his first game as a New York Jet. I don't want to hear it from anybody, any analyst, any Jet fan, that Perriman had White taking him, and that's why he couldn't do anything. That's a crock. Okay? If you're a good wide receiver, you'll find ways to move inside and out and run good routes where you can make even short line passes, which he couldn't do.
Well, that's not all his fault either. It's also Adam Gase not realizing that. If Adam Gase is seeing that nobody else is catching the ball.
Come on, Speedy. You can honestly tell me that Adam Gase doesn't know how to call a play. Adam Gase is not stupid, okay? If he knows they can make – and you saw it in the fourth quarter. All of a sudden, some of these guys were running short routes, and they were making plays at the end of the game. Why couldn't they do that early in the game in the first and second quarter? You want to blame that on Adam Gase, or you want to blame that on the route running of some of the players? Sam Darnold, okay? This is where I attacked Sam Darnold on yesterday's game. Sam Darnold, at certain parts of the game, had at least 5 seconds in the pocket to make a play. 5 seconds to make a play. There was no checkdowns, none whatsoever. You're going to blame that on Adam Gase? No, you're going to blame that on Sam Darnold. There is always, you saw Frank Gore, he was always on the check down. You saw Le'Veon Bell before he slipped on his ass in the second quarter. He was always on a check down. Why wasn't he making his check downs like Josh Allen was? Every single throw that Josh Allen was making in the first and second quarter was check downs. All of them. Why wasn't Sam Darnold doing it? And I don't want to hear that Josh Allen had a better game than Sam Darnold, because statistics will show you that he didn't, even though he had 100 more yards thrown. The reason why he had 100 yards more thrown, because he was on the field 70% more than Sam Darnold was. Sam Darnold was on the field maybe 30% of the time as Josh Allen was on 70% of the time.
Yeah, Josh Allen played well in the first half, I think, and then he kind of got too conservative, and also at times the other way around, where he got like almost too force feeding at times when he wanted to take some big shots. But the 312 yards, a lot of it was him, and a lot of it too was also the yards after the catch. While I do think Josh Allen did outplay him, it wasn't by as much as people think. So he has some work to do. The Bills have some work to do offensively, because it seemed like they kind of quieted down in the second half after they had that great first first quarter. So they have some work to do too. A nice win for them, but it's still not a convincing one to say, all right, this is the leap they need to make.
I'm telling you right now, if Josh Allen plays that way next week, they lose. The Jets are a team that just can't find a way to get out of their own way. That's the problem with the Jets. If the Jets didn't give up 21 points in the first 15 minutes of the game, and I say 15 minutes because they gave up 14 points in the first quarter, and then the first 3-4 minutes of the second quarter, they gave up another 7 points. So it was 21-0 practically in one quarter of play, and the game was over. Everybody and their mother knew the game was over. The Jets were not going to come back from a 21-0 deficit. Not the same way that the Jets were up 17-0 last year in the first game of the season against Buffalo. And because of Sam Darnold's mono and the way the Jets played in the second half, they lost that game. I didn't think that was going to happen against the Buffalo Bills defense. The Buffalo Bills defense has been a top 5 defense in the league for the last 2 years. But not even that. When you look at the Jets as a whole and what this organization put together in the offseason. I'm not going to take shots at Joe Douglas because I thought he had a fantastic offseason as far as the draft's concerned, even though Ashton Davis tried to hurdle in a punt return, which made absolutely no sense. I don't know what Ashton was thinking. This isn't track and field. You're not going to try to hurdle over a player because you've seen other players in the league do it. You're a rookie player. You try to make plays by making moves and getting yards to the carry. You didn't do it, and you looked really, really bad doing it. And a lot of people are taking shots at Ashton because of that one play, even though Ashton really wasn't on the field at all yesterday. And I blame that on the coaching staff. But when you look at the Jets as a whole yesterday, the only thing I saw that really stood out to me is Marcus May. He was the only bright spot for the New York Jets. 2 sacks, a fumble. He knocked the ball out of Josh Allen's hands, so they had a fumble, interception. He did all the things right, taking over from free safety to strong safety, playing Jamal Adams' position. And now you can see that Marcus May was playing out of position when Jamal Adams was on part of the team. You could see it because I think Marcus May plays better at strong safety than Jamal Adams does. And I told you guys, and I will say it again, by the end of the season, Marcus May will have a better all-around season than Jamal Adams will in the NFC and with the Seattle Seahawks. Mm-hmm. And Marcus May showed you why he's going to make a lot of money after this year. He is going to be the guy that they're going to pay. Now, I don't think they're going to pay him $90 million like Jamal Adams is requesting, but I think he's going to make about $60 to $55 million a year. Not a year, but in a 4 or 5 year contract.
Right.
He's going to...
Yeah, I think he'll get slightly below, I think, what Budda Baker just got for Arizona, which was 4 years, 59. I think he'll probably be in the 4 years, 53, 54 range.
I know it's early, and I know a lot of people say, let's wait until the season is over. But as long as Marcus May stays healthy, he is going to be a big part of this defense moving forward. Now, the Jets' defense had a lot of injuries. I don't understand why Quentin Williams barely plays and it really scratches the surface in the game. This guy was your number 3 pick 2.5 years ago. Everybody talks about how great he looks in spring training or whatever you call it, practice, and you only see him on really, I would say, about 12 or 13 snaps the whole game.
That's ridiculous.
And I blame that on Greg Williams. Yeah. I blame that on Greg Williams because as well as the second half that secondary played, and Hairston taking over for Desir, and everybody, and you speaking high praise for Desir. Mm-hmm. Desir was benched after the second quarter.
Damn.
He was benched. Greg Williams benched him in his first game as a New York Jet. They paid him almost $20-something million for a 3-year deal, and this is their high-profiled corner that they decided not to bring in Logan because they had Desir. That was a big mistake from the New York Jets because I'm not taking shots at Desir because we don't know what he is. Right. But in the first game, his first game as a New York Jet, playing as bad as he did, it was a joke. It was a complete joke. He looked as bad as Johnson did in the 2 years he was a New York Jet.
Yeah, again, it's also, we have to see how they adjust to a more complicated scheme. Greg Williams has one of the most complicated defenses, as we know, so that can make it tough. But he also played in a complicated defense in Indianapolis, so I thought the transition would be a lot smoother than it has been, but maybe he's just a scheme fit over there. I don't know.
It was embarrassing. The Jets are an embarrassment. And any fan that sits here and tells me that they're excited for next week when San Francisco is going to come in after losing against the Cardinals, yeah. I don't think you're going to be very excited coming into MetLife Stadium to an angry angry San Francisco 49ers NFC Championship team, okay?
Absolutely.
So I expect a lot of hell-raising, and I don't know how the Jets are going to be in this game. And if they're somehow in this game, and I'm telling you right now, and I said this to Eric on Saturday
Crunch.
on the Weekend Crunch, stating that I think Arizona is a borderline playoff team, and they could squeak in. And if they squeak in, they're a dangerous team in the open field because they have Hopkins and some of the weapons they have, and their offensive line is a lot better than it was last year. They're going to be a very exciting team to watch, but the Jets are just abysmal. There is nothing offensively that excites me. I thought Chris Herndon was going to excite me. Chris Herndon was absolutely horrendous. That fumble that he had that cost the Jets really the game. He did. He cost the Jets the game. And you're going to say, how did he cost the Jets the game? It was the fourth quarter. It was 21-10, and the Jets had the momentum. They had the ball back. They missed a field goal. The Buffalo Bills kicker missed a field goal. And they had the ball on the 30-yard line, and Sam Darnold threw a screen short pass to Herndon. Anybody and their mother would have caught the ball. He turns around, the ball gets smacked out of his hands, and they obviously took the ball away from the Jets, and then they got 3 points on that. The game was over. The game was over after that. The Jets, every single time the Jets looked like they were in the game, they were out of the game. And it just, I don't care what Adam Gase says at the end of the game. It's only the first week. We have a lot of work to do, blah, 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 blah. The only work the Jets have to do is when are they going to fire you? Okay, that's the work. Yep. And who's going to replace you? And who's going to replace you and have Sam Darnold again playing under another offense for another 2 years to figure out if Sam Darnold is the quarterback of the future for the New York Jets? So, Mark, I'm going to bring you in, okay? Because you're sitting there right now in Alabama, and I want to know your honest opinion on what you thought of your New York Jets.
To be honest, I had the luxury of not watching most of the game because I couldn't get it. So I didn't see much of what you're saying. I picked up pieces of it afterwards, and I saw on YouTube and everything. But I mean, this is nothing new. I mean, this has been going on for how long? So it's nothing that I haven't seen before in a season opening game. Last year, you said they were all up 16-0 last year, and you had the feeling they were going to blow that lead last year. When Buffalo got up 21-0, like you said, there was no way Buffalo was going to blow that lead. And what Jet fans want to see, I think, is continuity in their offense. They didn't see any of that. But they had one first down in their first 5 possessions. They were 0 for 4 on third down. I saw Darnold's pass where he tried to throw across the field, and Milano intercepted it. So, but I mean, what do you want? If you're a Jet fan, what do you want? Do you want to play bad enough to where Gase can get fired and eventually let Joe Douglas and the moves he's going to make, which you're not going to see right now, the effect of it because of the Adams trade and because of the injuries? It might take a while, and it certainly will take this year. And this year, really, with COVID and everything going on, it's not a real clear indicator of, it's just so many weird things happened yesterday. At the freaking Lions, again, blowing an opening day lead like they did last year, and Trubisky throwing 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
I told you guys, and I'm going to step in again. I told you guys that Mitchell Trubisky is going to have a better year this year. And I don't care what anybody says. By the end of this season, everybody's going to apologize to Mitchell Trubisky because I think Mitchell Trubisky is a quarterback. The fact that he had a bad season last year, he came back from injury. He missed the first 3 games of the season. He came back, and remember, it was a significant injury. And to get your momentum, you get your timing back as a quarterback, missing the OTAs and missing practically preseason, it takes a while to figure things out. I believe Mitchell Trubisky is a good quarterback in his league. And I'm not saying, I know me and Eric were going back and forth about Mitchell Trubisky. I'm not saying he's Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying he's Deshaun Watson. But if you look at their numbers, when you compare their numbers, besides from last year, their numbers are very similar. Very similar. I would say that Patrick Mahomes throwing more yards. Obviously, he has a much more high-flying offense. But all in all, I mean, he's thrown a lot more touchdowns than he has of interceptions. So I don't think Mitchell Trubisky is as bad a quarterback as everybody thinks he is. But go ahead. Mark.
Well, I mean, just that's kind of an indicator. I mean, Trubisky the Bears thought they were going to need to replace him at the end of last year. They were talking about not extending his contract,
which was ridiculous.
You have Gardner Minshew, completing 19 of 20 passes for 3 touchdowns. And I think one guy, I think Adam Shine, actually predicted Jacksonville to go winless, and they get their first win against Indianapolis. Who, Phillip Rivers, just wherever he goes, that kind of inconsistency and unexplainable type of losses have seemed to follow him. So the NFC South is, to me, if Jacksonville is going to play and Minshew's going to have the type of season that he showed yesterday, that could be a division that you just don't know what's going to happen, because there is no clear-cut great team in that division.
Well, everybody, and it's funny, I want to cut in again. I will say this. If the Jets are the worst team in the NFL this year, and I said this on Weapons Hot, and as much as I love Sam Darnold, and I think he's the quarterback of the future of this team, you can't honestly tell me today, if the Jets have the worst record in professional football this year and you have the number 1 pick, you do not draft Trevor Lawrence. You can't honestly sit here as a Jet fan and tell me that if Trevor Lawrence is the best player in this year's draft, and they're comparing his skills to Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, and some of the great quarterbacks we've seen that's come out of the draft, and they're saying he's a sure thing. You can't honestly tell me, if you're a Jet fan, you're not going to draft Trevor Lawrence at number 1.
It depends what you see from Darnold this year. I mean, Darnold could play well, and the Jets could still have the worst record in football. So if he continues like he's played the last 2 seasons, where he's gotten seemingly better, but you can't really tell because of the record, then maybe it's something that they could think about. But I'm not so convinced Trevor Lawrence is going to be the be all and end all. I'd have to see Clemson play a tougher schedule. I got to see how he plays this year. I got to see if he leads them, especially if he leads them to another national championship, then maybe you can be in a conversation. But he still has things to prove to be that number 1 overall pick, that you're going to waste a number 1 pick on to prove that. Joe Burrow last year did, and you saw how good he was throughout the college football season last year. That's why he went number 1. If Lawrence has that kind of year this year, then we can maybe talk about that happening if they do get the first-round pick or the number 1 pick. But, I mean, that's just 1 week. I mean, most Jet fans didn't think they were going to be very good this year. So if the ultimate goal is to get Adam Gase fired, then you really can't complain about, how poor they're playing, because you didn't really expect much anyway.
We got to go to a quick break. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we will be talking to Colorado punter recruit Ashton Logan here on Down to the Wire.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
631-965-4990 is the number. This is Down to the Wire. We are live every single Monday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. New York Eastern Time. Download our app on iOS, WWSRN, or on Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. We're very happy to be here. As you guys know, we had to go to a quick break because we have our special guest waiting to get on. We will have Mark Kelly join us in just 1 second, and we will get more into what happened in week number 1 in the NFL. I'm so disturbed with the New York Jets. There are a lot of injuries, so many injuries, and everybody was talking about, by the way, before we get our special guest, how many times that we heard during the breaks, the analysts, Boomer Esiason, Cowler, all the different people talking about, being that there was no preseason, there was no OTAs really till later in the year, it looked like the football didn't lose anything. Here's the problem: what happened yesterday? There were so many injuries, season-ending injuries that you saw yesterday. And it's going to hurt a lot of teams. Marlon Mack going out with a torn Achilles yesterday in the Colts game. That's a significant loss. Their best running back. Vander Esch might be out for 6 to 8 weeks. That's a huge loss for the Cowboys. Jarwin is out for the season. The Jets lost Le'Veon Bell for 5 to 6 weeks. Cashman might be out for a couple of weeks. I mean, a lot of significant injuries. There were a lot of other significant injuries. Thomas from the Saints, he has suffered a high ankle sprain or a high ankle injury. He could be out a couple of weeks. I mean, not having a preseason, I know a lot of the players want to play the extra games and not have preseason. I think they're going to go back on this and see all these injuries, and they're going to say, maybe we should have a couple of preseason games. But anyways, we are now talking to Colorado 5-star punting recruit, Ashton Logan. What's going on, Ashton?
How you doing, sir?
You don't have to call me sir. I'm Errol. This is Speedy PD. He's the most annoying person on our network. You can see him right over here as my producer. And if you want to beat him with a fly swatter or a bat, you can do so. How are you and your family doing with this pandemic?
Doing very great. We're staying busy, and myself, I've been training a lot and, just trying to take advantage of the time.
Awesome. So what is it like? And I know as a punter, a lot of people forget how important punting is. In the NFL, you saw it yesterday in a bunch of games. You need a guy that's going to put the ball in places where it's going to put your team in better field position, or even put the other team in worse field position. What made you decide to choose Colorado out of all the different schools that were recruiting you?
There was a lot of decisions that factored into that. One of them was really Coach Durrell and his explanation of his program. He's so honest about his program, and they're not just trying to win there, even though it's one of the things I really like about that program. They want to win, but they also care about how they develop the players. They care about how they're going to make you turn out at the end of your program. So that was really intriguing, along with the amazing area, Boulder. I got the chance to visit this past summer. Amazing place, amazing stadium, Power 5. So it was just easy choice, really.
Was there anything specific about Coach Carl Durrell that swayed you to pick Colorado over the other schools that were recruiting you?
Yeah, it was really his honesty. That's just what it was. He just laid out his program to me over numerous calls, and really there was no hiding anything. It's just this is how his program was run, and what he expected me to do should I come there.
As you guys know, we are talking to Colorado punter recruit Ashton Logan. Now, hearing that you're a 5-star recruit, I mean, that's pretty amazing. I mean, the highest star recruit you could be is a 5-star recruit. It goes from 5 to all the way to 1. Knowing that you're a 5-star recruit and knowing that you have the ability to really go wherever you want to go, why don't you tell the fans a little bit about the recruiting process? When they came to talk to you with your family, the coaches, the kicking, the special teams coaches, the kicking coach. What was it like sitting there and saying and talking about trying to pitch you Colorado out of all the other schools that were trying to pitch you the same thing?
I just took one program at a time. There was a lot of schools I was talking to, Army, Sac State, Fresno State, just to name a few, UCLA as well. So really just taking programs one step at a time. And, Colorado, like I said, was the most honest and I would say different than every other program I talked to. They just they really have something special there that they're developing. So that was one of the things I really liked about them. As far as the recruiting process, it's a long process. You got to be patient in the process. But you know what? You just got to trust. And for myself, I trust myself that my talent will get me to the place that I wanted to go. And sure enough, that was Colorado.
Hey, Ashton, it's Mark Kelly. How are you doing?
Great, sir. How about yourself?
Ashton, it says you're averaging 45 yards a punt, 4.4 second per hang time. That's pretty impressive for a kid in high school. I mean, you also were recruited by Navy. I mean, you had a pretty high list of colleges coming after you. What is it that you like best about punting? I mean, even putting the ball inside the 20-yard line, you've done very well. So what is it that you really like about punting and how it affects the game?
No, punting is a position unlike any other. It's where inch difference on how you hold the ball can determine if it goes 45 yards downfield or if it's going 20 yards downfield. So I pride myself, and I love the fact that the position is so technically demanding. And you have to really know what you're doing in order to be successful at it. And that's just one of the most amazing things about playing. And that's why I've always been intrigued at it. We really have to be good at the position in order to succeed. And, I wanted to challenge myself starting out, and here I am now.
Now playing in the Pac-12, how do you feel about that conference? It usually is not You talked about the SEC and the Big Ten, even the ACC, obviously with the success Clemson has had. How do you feel the Pac-12 can improve and become a major player in who fights for the national championship every year?
The Pac-12 has so many amazing programs, like all the other conferences, but the Pac-12 has so many teams that are like each other. It is so competitive in the amount of teams and the caliber of players that go there. So, special teams is all that important to me. And, it's just, I feel like that, the Pac-12 definitely offers that as far as a special team standpoint, and that they're very competitive in that nature, just as competitive as all the other conferences, in my opinion.
As you guys know, we are talking to Colorado punter recruit Ashton Logan. When you look at the punting position, and balance has a lot to do with it, and I watch a lot of NFL football games, and I watched the kid that the Jets drafted in the 7th round, man, who everybody keeps saying he could be a Pro Bowler every single year for now moving forward. He did not look good in his first game in the NFL, maybe because of jitters, maybe the fact that he's never played in an NFL game, or the speed of the game, or maybe being afraid that he's going to get hit by one of these behemoths. I have no idea. When you look at the balance of the game, especially as a kicker, do you do things off the field? Do you do dance classes? Do you do ballet? Do you do stuff as a punter that other people probably wouldn't know a punter does off the field?
Yeah, so like ballet, for example, I don't do that, but honestly, that is a very helpful tool to use when you're a punter. I do a lot of stretching off the field. I do a lot of footwork drills, like a soccer player from my soccer background, using the ladder and tires, stepping in and out. So balance is very key, and really doing anything like running on the beach with sand and just doing footwork drills. There's a lot of extra things that go into punting and kicking that a lot of people will not expect you to do in order to be well.
So that leads into my next question. Well, a lot of the time with Pro Bowls and Hall of Fame credentials and milestones like that, a lot of these special teams guys get disrespected. We finally had our first punter in the Hall of Fame in Ray Guy, I think only 7 years ago or something like that. There's only one kicker in Morton Anderson, and the returners haven't even gotten the love they deserve. Do you think that'll change with more guys, even the returners like a Devin Hester or something like that? Do you think that'll change where you see more great kickers get into the Hall of Fame faster?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, even in college now, there's so many teams that are starting to realize the emphasis on field position. In the NFL, we're seeing all these new kickers, new punters with the Chiefs. The rookie kicker, I believe, for the Bills just beat out the veteran Hauschka. And, we're just starting to see a lot of these programs and teams, they just really value special teams. So I believe in the next 15, 20 years, we'll start seeing a real emphasis and appreciation for special teams and returners because it's such an important aspect of the game.
Go ahead, Mark.
Ashton, playing in the Pac-12, what stadium do you look forward to playing in the most? I mean, do you have a dream opponent that you want to play against, or a quarterback that you've watched, or a team that you can't wait to play against?
No, probably one of the favorite teams of mine that I really am looking forward to playing against is USC. I'm SoCal. I'm, an hour away from the stadium. So, I'm really looking forward to playing that team. And, they have such great coaches, such great team, like every team in the Pac-12. I'm really looking forward to playing there. Also looking forward to playing Oregon in that very large stadium, very loud. I want to play in the best and hardest place, to make myself better. So I'm looking forward to playing there as well.
What do you like best about playing for football? I assume with the strong leg you have, you could have played soccer or some other sport. What is it best that you like about punting to take advantage of the skills that you have with such a strong leg?
Punting is just like I said earlier, so technically sounding. You have to be really committed, and I have been for a long time. And that's one of the things that I really enjoy about the position is not everyone can do it. And if you want to be good at it, you have to put in so much extra time, so much extra work, and you have to really care about it. Like I have dreams about punting. Like it's insane how committed I am to the position itself. And everyone has their little things that are going to help them. But for me, it's just spending every second, every minute, I'm thinking about how I can be a better punter. And I think that's one of the real things.
Who was your favorite punter then that you watched that you really liked and tried to pattern yourself after?
Oh, Jake Bailey. Jake Bailey for New England Patriots. He's amazing.
Oh, my God, please. Why? Why me? Come on. Ashton, I love you, man. You're a 5-star recruit. You're going to be a guy that I'm going to be watching for the next couple of years, and hopefully you play in the NFL. But why would you bring up the New England Patriots? Please, anybody but the New England Patriots. We're here in New York. I'm a Jet fan. I can't stand that team. And when you bring up Bailey, I couldn't stand him for years. Now all of a sudden you're bringing him up? Come on, think of another punter besides him.
He just the best, man. That's my opinion. The New England Patriots, they do it right.
Are you a Patriot fan? Are you a Patriot fan?
No, I'm not.
Okay, good. All right. I like you now. I like you better now. As long as you're not a Patriot fan. So why don't we get off a little football conversation? So I want to know a little bit about you because I know there's not a lot to talk about punting. I know you probably played soccer, and most people that are punters or kickers either played rugby or they played soccer. Most of them. I mean, we've interviewed a lot of kickers and a lot of punters, and pretty much they've all said, I have a punting background, I have a soccer background, or I have a rugby background. So we understand that. So why don't we know a little bit about you? What do you like to do for fun? What kind of music do you like to listen to?
Music, I like a good hip-hop playlist. I have a very chill playlist.
Don't you say Little Baby. Don't you say Little Baby.
Okay, I'll say someone else.
I knew it. What is up with these? I'll tell you this. Every single recruit that we interviewed, every single one of you, something's up with this Little Baby guy. I mean, I'm a DJ. I know a lot of DJs. I would say 60 or 70% of you, the first thing they say is Little Baby. So go ahead. I'm sorry I'm butting in. I'm just sorry.
Oh, good. No, yeah, Little Baby's definitely one of the artists that I love to listen to pregame, and I like to listen to some other artists. I like to get a little chill country vibe. Luke Bryan a little bit. I like some of his music. I like to just get stuff that gets me hyped. So I really depend my music on the situation.
Are you a dancer?
No.
You're not a dancer? Come on, you're good with your feet. You're a punter. You have to be precise, and you're not a dancer, man. I mean, seriously.
No, I've never been a dancer. I've always just played soccer, and as far as the footwork, I just do soccer drills.
Well, there you go. You use the soccer footwork to be a dancer. I mean, seriously. Even those football practices, different. What are they
scrimmages?
Called? Scrimmage? No, not the scrimmages. The practice, the different things, the footwork that you do at practices. You can learn how to dance. You can use that in a dance when you're on a dance floor. You could use that.
Yeah. Maybe I'll eventually have to try some ballet or something.
There you go. Or you use spirit fingers. There you go. Yeah. I mean, I seriously, I don't see you as a cheerleader. Hopefully not. but I love your personality. But as you guys know, we are talking to Colorado punting recruit, 5-star recruit, Ashton Logan.
So what is your other favorite aspects of just playing football in general? Obviously, you're a punter, so that's what you do. You also did some kicking as well. But what are some of your other favorite aspects? Do you like tackling on special teams? Or are you a guy like Steve Weatherford that was very big and was a great tackler as a punter? Have you ever been involved in any other packages, like with fake punts or with even lining up as a running back or a tight end? Did you experience any other of that? And what are your other favorite aspects of the game of football?
I haven't experienced to date any trick play packages. I've done punting well, so my team has always valued that and always just gone with that. I think we'll see a little difference this next season, I'll say that. But as far as other things I like about the sport, I really love the tackle, and punters and kickers don't get a lot of that. But I've gotten a couple opportunities in my career this past season, the season before, to actually light some people up and shed some blocks. So I really enjoy that, even though I'm not doing that exactly every play. So
since you're a 5-star recruit, are you a 5-star person when it comes to the books? Are you a 4.0? What do you have? A 4.0 average, 3.7, 3.8? Come on, tell us.
The 3.9 average.
Oh, my God. You're a smart guy, too. You're a smart guy, too. I mean, how could you even root on the Patriots or anybody on the Patriots when you're a smart guy, man? I mean, you can't root on a Patriot if you're a smart guy. I mean, I know they've won a couple of Super Bowls, but they did cheat. So there you go again.
So who's your NFL team then?
Favorite NFL team is definitely the Seahawks. You know, Russell Wilson.
Oh, my God. Not again. Not again. Oh, my God. You go from one to another bad. Come on. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, they're gonna be wrecking this season. That's my prediction for that.
Yeah, and hopefully it's not going to be because of Jamal Adams. Jeez, man. Oh, my God. I mean, two teams that I can't stand. I love Russell Wilson, by the way. I love him. I actually met Russell Wilson a couple of years ago. He's a nice guy, nice conversation. Not even an interview, just having a conversation with him about football, about sports. He's a big baseball fan, too. Grew up a Yankee fan, so we hit it off when we had a conversation. And believe it or not, he's a lot smaller in person than he does even look on the field. He looks even bigger on the field than he does in person. Crazy to say that, but he's not a big man. And fantastic quarterback, really fantastic, but not for Jamal Adams, that's for sure. Anyways, we are talking to Colorado punter, 5-star recruit, Ashton Logan. Now, Ashton, before we let you go, we asked some silly questions, and I'm sure our social media manager, Jillian, told you a couple of crazy questions that we like to ask. So are you ready for this?
Oh, yeah.
Are you ready for all the fans to get to know who you are, Ashton?
Yep, for sure.
By the way, I love the name Ashton because we have a player that was just drafted by the Jets, Ashton Davis. So I'm a fan of yours just because of your name, okay?
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, I'm going to be following you, man, because I every single kid that we talk to, we not only have a connection with, but I understand. And the one thing that I know about radio is I try to open you guys up in a different way than, a lot of people ask the same radio questions. Well, what do you think about punting? Or what do you think about going to Colorado? I try to get those out of the way and get into the real questions about your life, who you are. But before we get into those questions, who really pushed you to play football? And who has really been the drive for you to get this college scholarship and go play college football?
Yeah, so my father was the one who pushed me to get started in football in 7th grade. And, went up to the team and, the coach asked, who could kick. So I raised my hand, That's how it all started in that regard. So I got to give credit to my father. But as far as who pushed me to start getting a scholarship and start working for that, my coach, Aaron Perez, also known as the Punt Factory. He played at UCLA, holds numerous school records there as a punter. He's amazing, and he's the one that really has built me as a punter and has really helped me with my technique and pushed me to really keep working harder and to ultimately earn a scholarship.
Well, I have a punting record here at the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You know how far I can kick a ball?
How far?
20 yards. What do you think about that?
You know what? That's not bad.
Do I deserve a college scholarship? Would you give me a college scholarship if I kick 20? If I could kick it another 10, 15 yards, you think I can get a college scholarship like you?
If you can hang that ball a good 10 seconds with that distance, then maybe we can start talking with that.
Well, unfortunately, I can't throw a ball and I can't kick a ball, but I can catch a ball, and I was a good wide receiver in high school, and I was a very good corner. Actually, a sensational corner playing high school football, but I decided to stick with hockey, and that's why I was a top prospect in hockey. But who knows? I could have played in the NFL, as a corner. What do you think, Speedy? Not a chance.
Maybe.
Not a chance.
Well,
not a chance.
You're all the same person who claimed you have a bigger upper body than Justin Tucks.
Listen. First of all, and this guy has been bringing this up over and over again. I was at a golf tournament, okay? I was at the U.S. Open a couple of years ago, and I had the opportunity to interview Justin Tuck, okay? You ready, Ashton? I was standing right next to him. Now, Justin Tuck was not the same size he was when he played. He probably lost about 50, 60 pounds. So standing next to him, and if I had the picture in front of you, you would see my arms were practically the same size as his. I mean, in length, I wasn't. So obviously, the guy's like 6'3", 6'4", and I'm 5'10" at best. But at the time, I was about 220 pounds, and Justin Tuck told me he was about 240, and he was 6'4". So yes, I believe that I was just as big as Justin Tuck's upper body, and he keeps making jokes about it. But I show the pictures. Pictures don't lie, Ashton. Pictures don't lie. So there you go. There you go. What are you going to say about that, Speedy?
Well, I will never believe that for a second. I'll admit it was closer than I thought. I'm still not going to say it's bigger.
Well, you tell that to Justin. You did meet Justin a couple of months after that, so you had the opportunity. You should have asked him.
I wasn't there on that one.
Yes, you were. You were the video.
Oh, that was last year. Okay.
Yeah. You see this, Ashton? He's clueless.
The time you met him, I think, at the golf was the year before.
Yeah, I said that a couple of months later, we met up with him again, and you could have asked him that same question, but you didn't. So that's your fault, okay?
Okay, but that was a year later.
That's your fault. Later. You could have asked his wife, too. His wife probably would have thought that I looked practically the same size as him, too. I mean, she was checking my arms out. I know she was. Oh, God. Anyways, as you guys know, we are talking to Colorado punter recruit, 5-star recruit, Ashton Logan. So here we go. First question on the table is, what would you rather wear, boxers or briefs, and why? Be honest.
Briefs. No. Boxers. No. Boxers easily because, boxers are they're just better. I mean, why do I have to give a reason? It's just the obvious decision.
So you like them to hang? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yes. I like them.
All right. That's okay. I mean, just be honest. But when you wear boxers, they do stick. So that's the problem here, man. So,
but tights a lot in practice, so I'm used to it sticking everywhere. So,
all right. So there you go. So we got another guy. Well, very few. There's very few boxer fans as far as my recruits that we've interviewed. We've interviewed. Probably 60 or 70 of you top 100 recruits going into 2001, 2022. So, and most of you guys went with boxer briefs. And some of you think that boxers are boxer briefs. I don't know. Some of you are a little lost. But that's just...
At least they're not as bad as Anthony, and not knowing what it is at all.
Well, that's true, too. I mean, we've... Well, Devin Kirkwood, who I absolutely love, he was really, really funny with that answer. Remember that answer?
Yeah.
He told me that he'd wear boxers and briefs at the same time if he'd get him more gummy bears. So that's what he told me. So, I mean, I told him that if he has 3 to 4 interceptions in his first year of college football, I will send him 6 months' supply of gummy bears. So there you go, man. I'm trying to help you guys out. I'm trying to give you guys some... initiative to go out there and have a good season. Second question. Favorite snack to eat before a game and why?
You know what? I have a tie between Cheez-Its and Goldfish because, I just like the crunchiness for some snacks right before the game.
Speaking of Goldfish, have you ever tried to dip Goldfish in hot cheese? Have you ever tried that?
No, I have not.
I never heard of it either. He told another guest the same thing, and once I tried it, it was awesome.
I will tell you this, buddy, and I love Goldfish too. I'm a Goldfish champion. I go to BJ's. Well, I used to go to BJ's and buy the huge box, like the month's supply of it, and I would eat it in a week. Okay, I go through it, and what I would do is I would make my own cheese. I would get a bunch of Land O'Lakes cheese, and I would melt it in a pot. And people would be like, how do you melt Land O'Lakes? You can melt Land O'Lakes cheese in a pot. And I melt a whole pound of cheese. And then I dip the cheese. I dip the fish in the cheese. It's nothing like it, man. Nothing like it. I'm telling you right now, you do it, you'll never stop doing it. You'll say, you know what, that guy from the Worldwide Sports Radio, he's my new best friend. I've got a new snack to eat before games.
Hey, I'll give it a try. I'm going to take your word for it.
But
I'll try it pre-game.
Stay away from the hot cheese before the games because you might be on the bowl before the game. So.
Okay.
All right. I'm helping you out, man, because I don't want to see you run off the field, or I don't want to see you like Mark Sanchez eating a hot dog on the sidelines, okay? I don't want to see that, okay? So I'm trying to help you here. Number 3, blondes or brunettes, and why?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm going to go blondes, though. Just... in my experience down here, and my girlfriend, actually, she's blonde, so, I can't go with brunettes.
How long you been with your girlfriend?
A few months now. We've been talking for about a year now. So.
Really? Look at you, man. You're a pimp daddy, too. Not only a 5-star recruit, he's a pimp. What's your girlfriend's name, man?
Kayla.
Shout out to Kayla, Logan's girlfriend of a couple months. And I listen, man, you're going to Colorado. Is she going with you? Is she going to follow right behind you?
You know what? We're talking about that, but the good news is she's already in Colorado. That's where she lives. So
really, that's good for you.
Yep.
That's good for you. I like that, man. So, last question before we let you go, and this is the best one. All right, I am going to give you a bunch of women or guys, and I want you to put in 5 people. I want you to put in an order. Who would you go on a date from 1 to 5? Are you ready?
All right.
All right. I'm just trying to bring it up because I'm trying to figure out names and I'm losing. There's so many people. All right. First one. Nicole Kidman. Number two, Jennifer Lawrence. Number 3, Keira Knightley. Number 4, Speedy Petey. That's him right over here. Or number 5, Jamie Lee Curtis. In order from 1 to 5, who would you go on a date from 1 to 5?
Oh, I'm going to have to go Speedy first.
What is it?
Wow, 2 for 2.
Oh, my God, man.
I never would have thought that.
How many? I've done this this is the second time I put Speedy in the conversation, and every one of you, well, both of you said, and the other guy was a 5-star recruit, right?
I don't think so.
No, he's a 4-star recruit.
Yeah,
he was a 4-star.
I think he was a 4-star recruit.
Yes.
I'm surprised. I didn't go for that pick.
You would date Speedy over all the other people?
You know, if I had socks on, if you know what that is.
I know what it is.
We're not getting into socks again. Last time that happened, that was a weird ending to the show.
All right, so Speedy, number 1. Number 2?
I'm going to have to go Nicole.
Nicole Kidman. Okay, number 3?
Can you repeat that?
Yes. Number 3.
Keira Knightley was one.
Keira Knightley.
Jennifer Lawrence was another.
And Jennifer Lawrence.
I'm going to have to go Keira Knightley, 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jennifer Lawrence was the last one?
No, Jamie Lee Curtis and Jennifer Lawrence.
Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis 4, and then Jennifer Lawrence 5.
Wow, you put Jennifer Lawrence 5? Wow, man. And she's really the closest thing to blonde out of all those women. So this is a blonde man, and he decided to put the blonde at number 5. And he decided to go number 1 with Speedy, unfortunately. Yeah. I would put Speedy at number 5, really deep at number 5. Maybe I would decide maybe not even to get a number 5 because I don't want to deal with Speedy. I mean, going on a date with this guy, he's a cheap date, first of all. So that's good for you. He's a cheap date, but he talks too much. So that would probably scare you.
Yeah, also the fact he may talk about some New York Giants would scare me as well.
Oh, you don't like the Giants, huh?
I'm not a big Giants fan either.
Well, we have nothing to say to the Seahawks. The Seahawks have notoriously owned the Giants, so I guess in that sense you have an advantage there. And again, the Giants haven't been good in a long time. But beyond that, in a very interesting random grudge as a Seahawks fan, obviously your top rivals are probably different with the 49ers and the Rams and teams like that, but interesting.
I can't root against Russell Wilson. I won't root against Russell Wilson. But because Jamal Adams is on that team and listening to him say, write a story after he was traded from New York to Seattle stating that to the Jet fans that he appreciates the Jet fans bringing him in as a part of the family, that I'll miss you and all that stuff. And all of a sudden come out in an interview stating that when he heard he was traded to Seattle, he cried with happiness and tears. So knowing that, I can't stand Jamal Adams. And unfortunately, he's playing on the same team as Russell Wilson. So I'm rooting against him. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your team.
That's pretty painful to hear, but, I'll get over it eventually.
I figured, I do kick the ball for 20 yards, so that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, that's a good, you got to start somewhere. I started there, too. So.
Well, what I want to do is when you become an NFL player and you get drafted by it won't be the Jets because the Jets already drafted a punter. Maybe the New York Giants, who you can't stand. You can teach us a little bit about punting. How's that sound?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'll look forward to that.
And well, listen, if you ever come here to New York and you do get drafted and you have the opportunity to come here to New York, we would love to show you around, you and your girlfriend. There's beautiful wineries out here in Long Island, but the city's beautiful. I'm sure you've heard of New York City. I bet you've never been there.
No, yeah, I've been there. No, I was going to get a couple of recruiting me, but never got the time. And obviously I'm with Colorado now, but I definitely wanted to see it out there. It sounds nice.
Well, we would love to show you around. So whenever you have the opportunity to come out here in New York, we will definitely hit you up. We would love to get you back on the show when the season starts, if the season starts. We would love to get you on and talk a little football, Colorado football with you. And we'll stay in touch, man. We'll watch you grow. And hopefully in the future you're playing in the NFL, my friend.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me.
Thank you for joining us. As you guys know, we were just talking to great young kid, by the way, Colorado 5-star recruit Ashton Logan. Really, really nice kid. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we will get back into the NFL week number 1. We'll get into the games. A lot of interesting games yesterday. And one of them was Seattle, who I thought was going to be surprised by the Atlanta Falcons. Boy, oh boy, did they surprise the Atlanta Falcons yesterday. We will get into that when we come back here on Down to the Wire.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Yeah! Mark doesn't know how to lean back, but I do. Let's lean back over here. We're leaning. Oh. Speedy, you're not leaning back, man. You better be leaning back.
I'm fixing his camera.
Well, fix this camera.
I got it.
As you guys know, this is Down to the Wire. We are live every single Monday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. New York Eastern Time. You can call us at 631-965-4990. Download our app on iOS, WWSRN, or Android, Worldwide Sports Radio Network. After the show, we have the Wise Guys coming up, so stay tuned for them. By the way, Ashton Logan is a nice kid. And we have another guest who's a very, very nice kid. This kid is going to be a 2024 recruit. That means, guys, this kid's like 14, 15 years old. I mean, this kid is, he's not 15. How old is he? We'll get him on. He's young, okay? He's a young recruit. As you guys know, we are talking to Oregon safety recruit Marko Vidackovic, right?
Yep.
Vidackovic. Am I right, Marko?
Yes, sir. That's right.
Okay, so, Marko, how old are you?
So I'm actually already 18.
You're 18?
I'm already at Oregon right now. So I was a 2020 recruit. So, yeah.
Oh, so what happened, Speedy? You're my producer, and you said 2024.
Well, that's Jillian's fault.
Well, I'm going to smack you in the back of the head. You know, this kid right over here, I actually have a fly swatter, Marko, that's about this big. And every single time he makes a mistake during break, I beat him on the head with it. So feel free if you want to smack him around a little bit. You have absolutely the right to do that, especially people telling me that you're a 2024 recruit when you're a 2020 recruit, which is even better. So there you go. All right. So how are you and your family doing with this pandemic?
It's pretty good right now. I know my two sisters and my mom just moved back to Germany, actually, a few weeks back now, 2 weeks back, I think. And they started school today. So they're doing pretty good there. And my dad's still up in Portland now. But other than that, it was just a lot of family time during the peak of the pandemic, I would say, during the peak quarantine season. But yeah.
You speak fluent English.
Yeah.
And how long have you lived in Germany? Where were you in Germany since you were 10, 8, 9? How long were you in Germany before you moved to the United States?
All right. So basically, I grew up in Germany. I was born in Germany. I grew up there for the first 6 years of my life. Then my dad got a job opportunity up in New York City for 4.5 years. So we lived there for 4.5 years. Mm-hmm. So right before I turned 10, we moved back to Germany for 5 years. And then after those 5 years, we moved to Portland for the past 3 now. So
what you're telling us is you're really a New Yorker. That's what you're telling us. That's what you're telling us, and that's what I love. That now me and you are good friends. Now we're starting to move in over here. I like the fact that you're a New Yorker. What part of New York City were you living?
We were living in Valhalla.
Okay.
Which is pretty close to White Plains, yeah. And I played for the Valhalla Vikings as a kid. So, yeah.
Do you speak fluent German?
Yeah.
So how do you say you're a complete idiot in German?
Du bist ein richtiger Idiot.
Oh, I can't do that. I wish I could, but I can't do it. But believe it or not, and we have something else in common, I am German too. I have German blood in me. My grandfather is from German, right off the boat, Germany. So, yes. So, yes, we have something in common. So the fact that you're a New Yorker and you are full German, and I have German blood. I mean, we're blood brothers.
My grandfather lived in Germany for a while when he was a child, too.
What was that, Speedy? What are you adding to this?
I said my grandfather lived in Germany for a while when he was a child, too.
Yeah, well, good for you. Is he German?
Yes, he is.
All right, so there you go. Add the little German to it. So do you have German blood in you?
I do. I have a quarter German blood.
Well, he's not related to us, okay, Marko, because I don't want him related to us. He's out of this relation, okay? But he's also now a New Yorker. He's from Connecticut, but now he's a New Yorker because he's been here for a couple of years. But anyways, as you guys know, we are talking to Oregon safety recruit Marko Vidackovic. I'm good. I'm getting better here. Yeah. I'm getting better over here. So, Marko, what was it like being recruited by Oregon?
It was definitely very exciting. It was kind of the thing I always dreamed of. It was always the opportunity I dreamed of at like that big stage, the big stadium with Autzen Stadium, and just a national program. It was always something I envisioned myself as a little kid, and it's just crazy to me now that it's kind of about to get real once we have fans again in the stadium. So, yeah, it's a dream come true.
So going back to your time in Germany, what was unique about you getting into football in Germany? Obviously, it's not their big sport over there. Obviously, soccer is their huge sport. They like basketball a lot too. So what was the consumption of football like in Germany, and also just your influences? How did you grow a love for the game as a player too?
So my love for the game actually started when I was in New York. When we moved, I started watching football with my dad, and then soon after that, I started playing flag and then tackle. And so that's where everything started. And then once I moved back to Germany, I was playing flag for, I believe, 2.5 years or 2 years, because there's like an age restriction when you can start playing tackle football. And then once I started playing tackle, it just kept growing always. There's always a love for the game, and I always watch football every Sunday. That's basically, Sundays are always taboo for any events because I'm always watching football. And it was just, football there is very, it's growing fast. A lot of kids actually play football there, way more than I feel like a lot of people here in the U.S. would think. And there's also some pretty good players there too now. So it's growing rapidly. And the love for the game also, and there's a lot of football fans in Europe. I can say that for sure.
So, Marko, we have something in common. I'm a former New Yorker. I just moved, actually. I'm in Alabama now, but I was with them in studio a couple of weeks ago, and that's where I'm from. I'm from New York, so it's warmed my heart to hear that.
No, you're nothing like him. You're nothing like him. But we have more.
Being that he's
connection
out of the state. Being that he's moved out of the state and somewhere else.
No, but we have more of a connection. He's got German blood. I'm German.
I got German blood in me too.
Oh, get out of here! Get out of here! Now, all four of us have German blood. Get out! 4 of us. Speedy has it too.
Mm-hmm. I got a quarter.
So all four of us are German. So look at that, Marko. You have blood brothers right here, but you're probably better off just being my blood brother. But that's just, I'm just speaking the truth here. But go ahead, Mark.
Yeah. So, Marko, being you're from Germany, you've spent time in New York. How big is Pac-12 football overseas? I mean, is college football something that gets watched as consistently as the NFL is?
I would say it's definitely not at that level yet. I know for a fact that I didn't watch as much college football when I was in Germany. I watched like the bigger games, I watched the national championship games and the playoff games. But I know that basically the regular season just doesn't get streamed on the normal cable TV there as much. I know that the NFL is on every Sunday and there's a lot of NFL fans, but as far as college, I think it's just not as big there yet. Yeah.
So What was your idea of the Pac-12? What did you know about the Pac-12 and Oregon? Spending time in New York, going out there, is it just a totally different culture? I mean, we see some of it with some of the riots going on, obviously out in Portland and in New York. But is it how different is it being living out in Oregon than it is living either in Germany or New York?
I would definitely say there is a lot of similarities, but I would say just for me, here when I lived in Portland, my school was actually in downtown Portland, so I had more of the city life, which I wasn't used to because I lived more in the suburbs in Germany. So I was more living in a small town of like 15,000 people, whereas here now I was in a big city. But other than that, honestly, everything I learned about Oregon and the University of Oregon came when I moved to Portland. So, yeah.
The guy who started Nike actually was involved with the University of Oregon. So it goes back. There's a long history of achievements. And playing in the Pac-12, you're going to be playing safety. Have you seen a lot of these Pac-12 quarterbacks? What do you think you can take advantage of playing safety and kind of sitting back and watching what they do?
Just for me, basically, just I guess being me. Right now, my goal is just to come in, soak as much as I can in my first few years here, and then see where it goes. Maybe I get the opportunity early, maybe I don't, but I know I'm just going to keep grinding. And whenever I get my opportunity, I know I'm going to be ready. And I know I'm going to be watching a lot of film, regardless of whether I'm starting or not. I'm always going to just stay ready, and then once my opportunity comes, I know I'll take advantage of it.
We are talking to Oregon safety recruit Marko Vidackovic. I got it better. It's getting better. It's getting better. It's just flowing. It's flowing off the tongue. It's flowing off the tongue, Marko. It's starting to, I told you we have some kind of back. My grandfather's last name from Germany was Meyer. So that's a common German name over there. So Meyer. That was my grandfather's maiden name. But anyways, so playing safety, what is your strengths and what is your weaknesses? Are you a ball hawk? Do you have tremendous speed on the inside to the out? Are you a good jumper? What stood out to Oregon that they wanted you and bring you in as a recruit?
I would say I'm a pretty instinctive guy, and I can see things happen before they happen, kind of. I know I like getting to the spot earlier sometimes, and I always I guess I pride myself in reacting quicker before everybody does. And obviously I also just like dropping back or coming down into the box and making tackles. So I also just like laying the wood sometimes a lot. So I feel like I'm just an all around safety. I wouldn't say just straight ball hawk or just a straight box safety. I would just say I could do it a little bit of everything.
I like laying the wood too, man. I like laying the wood too, and I like smacking the hell out of this guy right beside me. So forgive me if I like laying the wood on live air. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Speedy.
So being that you've been in the program already, I'm sure you've met some of the other defensive backs on the team. One of the most notable one is Brady Breeze, who's actually one of the best safeties in the nation and will be a big name to watch come time the NFL draft time next year. So have you learned a lot from him as a safety yourself, and what are your favorite parts of his game that you think you could take on?
I actually haven't been able to meet him yet because I just came down a few weeks ago. And I know that as soon as I came down, a few guys weren't in town because of just everybody got to go home, but I decided to stay here. But I would say just watching him last year, I feel like my game is very similar to his. He can drop back. He loves coming down to the box and just hitting people. And I feel like he's always at the right place at the right time. And that definitely just comes from a lot of film study and knowing what's going on. And definitely I'm going to learn a lot from him. I'm excited to learn a lot from him and just watching him. And, yeah, hopefully he can teach me a lot.
As you guys know, we are talking to Oregon safety recruit Marko Vidackovic. Go ahead, Mark.
But Marko, being that you an Oregon Duck, okay, so I think they represent something different to everybody with their uniforms and the way they've their style has really infected college football, but it's also affected pro sports, everything. You see all these different jerseys now, these different styles of things. What have you noticed about University of Oregon that really stands out to you?
To me, it's just the culture of the program. Everybody brings the same energy every day. I know now for the lifts, the energy was always great. The coaches are always intense, and they always keep it 100% with you. They're always real, and they treat you like family. It's just, I feel like it's a very contagious culture. And
How about those colors?
very-
How about that color scheme? I mean, do you guys have that? It almost seems like you have no idea what kind of uniform you're going to wear from Saturday or Saturday. I mean, what do they tell you about that? Do you like the way that the uniforms look? Do you like kind of the reputation that Oregon's got there? You don't know exactly what they're going to wear when they come out and play on Saturday?
Oh, yeah, 100%. That's just like the cherry on top for me, like just always being dripped out every Saturday and always having the cool gear and just all the different combinations of uniforms they have with the chrome helmets or then the all yellow uniforms, all green, the all black uniforms, the white and black uniforms. So those are all they all look amazing in my opinion. So it's always exciting it's going to be very exciting to put on a different uniform every weekend.
Like I said, we are talking to Oregon safety recruit Marko Vidackovic. Now, Marko, before we get into the crazy questions, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy them, I look at the safety position now growing, not only in the NFL, but college football. A lot of these young safeties now that are coming out of college football are first-round draft picks. Maybe 10, 15 years ago, you probably will see one or maybe two safeties at best be drafted in the first 2 rounds. Now you're seeing safeties get drafted. You sometimes see 2 safeties get drafted in the top 10. The safety position is becoming a more important position of the game. Is there when you started playing football, was there a reason why you decided to play safety over corner, or you just thought safety was a better position for you?
So I didn't make the switch to safety till after my junior year, so I've only really had 1 season at safety now because I played corner then. But I would say for me, I felt like it was a better fit. I just like the versatility of it. And then there was also always watching some safeties. I know on my Giants, I always watched Landon Collins.
Oh, my God. Hold on.
Good job, Marko.
Hold on, Marko.
Back
Hold
in the
on.
day, Antrell rolls, so there's
Oh,
always some
man.
guys that always stuck out to me when I was watching my Giants. So.
Your Giants.
I like that role, too. He was very underrated.
I actually know Antron Roll, and I tried to get Antron Roll on a show with me before Speedy actually came into the Worldwide Sports Radio Network when it was Sports on the Go and Radio. I actually had a conversation with Antron Roll. I like Antron Roll, even though he looks like a rat. But the fact that you're a Giant fan really upsets me now, Marko. I mean, we were blood brothers, and now I'm kind of falling down. Thank God you're not a Patriot fan, because then I'd really hate you. But nah. You shook your head, and you love the fact that the Giants won the 2 Super Bowls against the Patriots in 2017.
Yeah, that's why I don't have anything against the Patriots. Like,
of course you
never
don't.
done bad to me, but because we've taken 2 rings off of them, so I'm happy with that.
Stop sticking it. I'm starting.
I don't like any other Boston teams though. So
well, but you like the Patriots, and that's the worst.
I don't like them.
You hate the Celtics just as much.
I don't hate them like I hate the Red Sox.
Well, you're a Yankee fan, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we're back to being friends again. So there you go. At least there's something that we have in common over there. Anyways, as you guys know, we are talking to Oregon safety recruit Marko Vidackovic. Marko, before we let you go, and we're happy that you're joining us, and I know you're a busy guy. Before, how are your parents and how is it traveling all the way over to Germany? When you travel over to Germany, do you have to? Is there is there something that you have to do when you land with the country? Do you have to be checked for COVID-19 before you step off the plane? How does that work over there in Germany?
Yeah, so I know that my sisters and my mom, they got tested right after they got off the plane, and then they had to quarantine till whenever the results came back, and I think it was like a week. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they got tested right after they landed, and then they had to quarantine. And when that was done, they got notified by an app, and then they are good to go. Do
they like Germany, or does your family like living here in the States?
I would say they definitely like living in Germany more because that's kind of where all our family and friends are.
Right.
And yeah, that's literally everybody. Our whole family's there. Mm-hmm. Right now, my dad and I are the only people in the U.S. So. That was a big factor also why my mom wanted to go back. Just family and friends over there, just yeah.
Before we get into the crazy questions, do you see yourself as a future NFL player? I mean, do you see yourself as a talent that could possibly be a future NFL player?
100%. I know that there's still a long way to go for me, but I feel like I don't even see the surface. I know I'm talented, but I don't think I've
scratched the surface
a lot of that yet. And I still think there's so much more to learn for me, and just being in a college system now and learning from these NFL caliber players like Holland and Breeze now, and just getting the coaching from Coach Hayward and just lifting this weightlifting program and all that. I just think I think I'm going to see my potential now as we start getting going, hopefully with the season, but I still think I have a long way to go, but I definitely think I can do it if I just keep my head down and just keep grinding these next few years.
I see your potential because you're a New Yorker. How's that sound?
and he's a Giants fan.
No, that's not why. I don't see the potential because you're a Giant fan. I see your potential because you're a New Yorker. Well, we'll take that back. But I can tell you have a New York accent. You can tell. And you do have that confidence level to you like a New Yorker. And I like that about you. A lot of the kids and a lot of the recruits that we've interviewed, we see different levels of confidence and egos and cockiness and just personalities. And you're very calm, collective, but you have a confidence to you that I could see that you believe in who you are and you believe in your talent. So I like that. Okay, so I'm sure Jillian told you we're going to ask you some crazy questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. First question, boxers or briefs, and why?
I would say that depends on the occasion. Boxers when I'm just hanging out and I know I don't have anything.
I got it. Hanging out. I got it.
Go with briefs
hanging out.
When I go work out and I know I'm going to get sweaty and all that. When I have practice and stuff like that. So it's just depending on the occasion.
So you like it when you're wearing boxers, you like to just let them hang out, right?
Yeah.
So why wear boxers then? You just go, what do they call it? Commando? What do they call that? Commando? Why wear boxers if you like the, No answer.
School.
Yeah. Well, you know what? If to be honest with you, if I want him to hang out, I'm going to go commando. I'm just not going to wear any underwear. That's just me, But just telling you the truth here, man. I mean, we are blood brothers. I'm a Meyer, and you're a Vidackovic. I mean, we're together forever. There we go. Second question. Favorite snack to eat before games?
Favorite snack would definitely be Skittles.
Oh, you're a Skittles
Another
guy.
Skittles one.
That just, I don't know. That just gets, I wouldn't say it gets me going, but that's just what I've done now. And they're just it's my favorite, it's kind of sweet food. So my favorite candy. So.
All right. Do you have a favorite?
There's some Marshawn Lynch vibe to it too, but it's definitely Skittles.
Do you have a favorite in the original pack and a favorite in any of the other packs that you like?
In the original, I like the red.
Okay.
I also like the green, and then same thing in the sour ones. I like the green one and the sour ones a lot, actually.
I love the sour ones too, yeah.
But yeah, the sour ones is always, not always. Sometimes they're not good for me, but there's some days where I'm craving sour ones. But yeah.
Well, there was one fan that before we ask you the last two questions, one fan wanted me to ask you this question. Ask him if it's true that Germans love David Hasselhoff. Is that true?
I mean, I don't necessarily love him, but I've heard stories about it, so I would just say yes to that question. He is kind of legendary back in Germany. Yeah.
Yeah, well, at least he knows how to speak German. I don't. I mean, you just gave me a word, and I. How do you say fart in German?
Furz.
What is it called?
Furz.
Furz. Furz.
Yeah.
Furz. Okay, so it's like a fart. You're like furz. Furz.
Yeah.
It's like a foot. Foots.
Yeah, kind of. Just with a Z at the end.
Foots.
Yeah.
Speedy, I got a foots.
Okay.
I'm going to say that to you now, Speedy, when I'm ready to do it.
All right, sounds good.
By the way, my farts don't smell. So
very surprising. He's like the
don't.
only person that I've ever met.
Yeah, so they might be loud sometimes, but and I do play practical jokes on him. Sometimes when he's not looking and he's working or he's editing something, I'll stand right there and just fart in his face. You know what I mean? It's just something that we have. It's a connection. But I always say, well, they don't smell, so it doesn't matter. And he tells me all the time, well, they don't smell, so I don't care.
Yeah. Not a big deal.
I told you we were going to be a little crazy. So, Marko, we are not like all the other radio shows that interview people. So, anyways, third question: blondes and brunettes, and why?
I've always been a blonde guy ever since I came onto this earth, so easy question.
You're German,
Blondes.
that's why.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. There's just always been something to it. Every time I kind of walked into a room and my mom was like with me, she was always like, oh, I see you looking at that blonde girl. I was like, yeah.
Favorite blonde to look at? Give me a movie star or a model that you love to look at.
Jennifer Lawrence or Margot Robbie. I would say like at the top of that.
And that comes to my last question. I'm going to give you 5 people that you can go a date on. You can go to a date on. And I want you to give me an order on who you would go from 1 to 5. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Penelope Cruz, 1. Michelle Pfeiffer, 2. Keira Knightley, 3. Jennifer Lawrence, 4. Matt Damon, 5.
I'll be honest, I don't know the first 3 you mentioned, but number 1 will be Jennifer Lawrence. The first one was definitely going to be Jennifer Lawrence, and then I'll go Matt Damon too because I know him, but I don't know the other 3. So.
Okay, that's a good enough answer. But I will say this: you guys are young, and probably when you get off this show, you're probably going to look up those people and probably say, "Oh, I'll put her here, I'll put him there." You're lucky I didn't put Speedy because a lot of people have been putting Speedy as number 1.
Apparently,
I'll put Speedy up there too because we can talk about our Giants. So,
oh God, come on!
They got a big future ahead of them.
What kind of future is that? Losing?
Nah, we're getting there.
You're the one who likes Daniel Jones.
I do.
We just need a few more O linemen and a few more D linemen.
A few more.
They need a lot more in the front 7 than I think you need. Than you think. Yeah, they definitely need another tackle.
You need another tackle. And you need another guard.
Need a right tackle.
You need another guard, and you don't know if the center is going to be the future center either.
No.
So you need a center too. And by the way, your safety play is garbage. Okay, so you have no safety.
I mean, Jabril's pretty
good.
Get
Get out of here, Jabril Peppers.
Nah, I think he's pretty good.
Yeah, well,
I was never a fan of him, even when he was
so
with
is
the
Donald
Browns.
Duck.
Donald Duck.
So is Donald Duck. I think you're better off putting a bunch of cartoon characters out there before Jabril Peppers. Okay, I mean, give me a break. I mean, listen, I think the Giants have a good quarterback. I think Daniel Jones is the future. I really like Daniel Jones. I like the pick. A lot of Giant fans didn't like it. I actually loved it. So
I'll be honest. I was taping my reaction to it. I lost it, but then I really lost it. I was really mad because I wanted Josh Allen badly at that 6th pick because I thought we needed pass rushers. But then I calmed down and I gave him a shot, and now I'm a big believer.
You're sold. You're sold. I know.
I'm very sold, yeah.
Yeah, well, most people are. And most of the Giant fans, I'm going to laugh in their faces when this guy becomes a Pro Bowl player. But that's just me. And by the way, what's the score of this game right now?
3-0 Giants.
Well, there you go. The Giants are winning. So you should be happy, man. You and your little buddy over here with his Giants garbage.
I'll be honest. Because the game was running in the background, but they got the ball at the 1 yard line and they couldn't score.
Yeah, well, there you go. That just shows you how bad the Giants are. So there you go. You helped me out. You helped me out on that one.
But we'll get there again.
And us Jet fans will never get there. And us Jet fans will never get there. So there we go.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate side for you guys.
Oh, well, just remember you're a Duck and you're wearing green, buddy. So.
That's true.
I'll
give you that.
Yeah, Oregon's colors are closer to the Packers because they're green and yellow, not the Jets.
That's true.
Shut up, you. Be quiet, you. I didn't ask you. I'm talking to him, not you.
I got one question for you.
Hit me.
You think Sam Darnold is better than Daniel Jones?
Do I think he has more talent than Daniel Jones? Yes. Mm-hmm. Do I think he's better? I don't know. I don't know what these guys are yet. Do I think that Sam Darnold should be better than? Yes, I do think Sam Darnold has a tremendous more talent than Daniel Jones. The question is he going to be developed right? The answer is Daniel Jones has a better chance of developing with Joe Judge than Sam Darnold does with Adam Gase. So my answer is My answer, and I don't even know who Joe Judge is because I don't think he was the right pick for the New York Giants, but nevertheless, he's better than Adam Gase.
Hopefully
Anybody's
your boy
better than
Jason
Adam
Garrett
Gase.
could work wonders.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. We got Jason Garrett now as our OC, so that's.
I like Jason Garrett.
Errol's one of the few defenders of Jason Garrett as a head coach.
I like Jason Garrett. Yep.
Yeah, well, yeah. I didn't like him as a head coach, but if he's going to be our OC, that's totally fine with me because he did a great job with
So,
that.
Marko, you're going to be a friend of the show from now on, man. When the season starts, we've interviewed a lot of Oregon Ducks, okay? A lot of top recruit Oregon Ducks that have come on our show. Your tight end has been on the show. We've talked to so many different people. And because you're a New Yorker.
Jalen Davies is a corner.
Yes, Jalen Davies, who you're going to be playing with. Nice kid, too. I had a lot of fun with Jalen Davies. And he has an opportunity to win himself some hot Cheetos for a couple of months. So we made a bet. So because you're a New Yorker, my friend, I'm going to help you out. So your first 2 seasons, because you're probably not going to play you're not going to play a lot in your first season. Your second season, when you do start, if you have 2 interceptions and a fumble return, I am going to send you a 2-month supply of Skittles. Okay.
All right. That sounds good.
Right. And you're a friend of you're a friend of, and a family member to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network because you're a New Yorker. We are definitely going to keep tabs on you, man. I'm rooting for you. Even though you're a Giant fan, I'm still going to be rooting for you. I expect nothing but great things from you moving forward. And because we're Germans and we're blood brothers, I expect big things from you. So I'm looking forward to watching you play.
I definitely appreciate that. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Definitely follow us on social media too, my friends.
I will.
And we're going to stay in touch. You better be on the show. And when you get drafted into the NFL, and it hopefully will be from the Jets, not the Giants, and you're wearing green, gang green, we will celebrate together at the NFL draft.
That'll be great, yeah.
And Mark's not invited. And Mark's not invited.
Hopefully it's going to be Giants.
No, it'll be a Jets uniform. Don't you worry.
No, it'll be Giants. Don't you worry.
It'll be a Jets uniform. Don't you worry.
I'll lobby for you.
Oh, be quiet, you. They're going to listen to me more than they're going to listen to you.
By the way, Jillian just texted.
Might have to pull Eli Manning then.
By the way, Jillian just texted and wants to jump into the German pool. She's also part German as well, apparently.
So we got 5 Germans. 5 wonderful Germans. So there you go. Marko, thank you for joining us, my friend.
Yep. All right. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Marko Vidackovic. I'm good. I'm good. I'm flying, man. I'm flying. Anyways, when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, Mark and Mr. Speedy Petey are going to finish up the show, and they're going to be talking a little bit left of week number 1 here on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. You're listening to Down to the Wire on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Welcome back to Down to the Wire. I am your co-host now that Errol Marks has stepped out for a minute. I'm here from beautiful Alabama in my first week here with Speedy. And we're going over some of the NFL games that happened on Sunday, the first weekend of the NFL in this weird COVID year. I mean, nothing has been what we expected it to be in any sport, I think, even from hockey or baseball or basketball. I mean, you've seen the Denver Nuggets now come back from 3-1 in both series, forced Game 7, beating Utah in the first round, and now taking the Clippers to 7 games. I think that kind of puts on hiatus this Lakers-Clippers matchup that everybody's been waiting for. But, Speedy, you watched the NFL yesterday. One thing I noticed that it's like deja vu, okay? Last year, the Bears blew a 24-6 fourth quarter lead in a overtime tie against Arizona in Kyler Murray's first game.
Yep.
Yesterday, they blew a 23-6 lead to Chicago in their opening game, and this time they lose by allowing 21 straight fourth quarter points. What did you pick up from the Lions, at least? That, you know, a lot of people like Matt Stafford. He had a good game, but there's this thing about the Lions, it's kind of jet related, where they just seem to melt at in the big spot.
Before we get to that, this segment is called Mark It Up.
This is Mark It Up.
So, Mark, go ahead. Sorry, were you saying something?
This is how it goes. I guess I totally forgot about the intro to the segment.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right.
Yeah.
This
is live radio, so it is what it is. But
all right. So
this is what happens when you're 15 states away, I guess. But
yeah.
So picking up on that, okay. The Lions have this. They've only won 2 division titles, or actually 3 division titles since the merger. Okay, only the Jets have won fewer with 2. What is it about the Lions franchise that they just seem to, no matter what kind of talent they are or how much their fan base gets excited, that they just seem to have games like this?
Well, yeah, it seems like in my time watching them, the way they've built their team has always been kind of the same, and it seems like they do a very bad job of drafting for the most part, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They've had, over the years, some good interior defensive linemen. They've had some decent safeties, and they've always had good wide receivers. But beyond that, they're very inconsistent with everything else, and that's always been a problem. When they have a running back, like they have with Barry Sanders and even Billy Sims before that, they don't have a quarterback. They have a quarterback now in Matthew Stafford and never had a 1,000-yard rusher except for 1 year of Reggie Bush, I think. And that was really it. So they just have an inconsistency with player development. Obviously, mentally, it gets to them. It seems like you're right. They blow a lot of leads. They're very bad. Even when they are good, they're very bad in the second half of the season in terms of winning key games.
A couple years ago, they blew that big lead to the Packers. They wound up losing the division. I mean, just seems like there's always something that the Lions do and mess up. I remember a game in the, just to get a little off course, but in the 80s, they played the Niners in a divisional playoff game where Gary Danielson turned the ball over 5 times. And they still almost beat the 49ers, who were won the Super Bowl in 81, and then 82 you had to strike, and then in 83 they played them in that divisional round game, one of the few times that the Lions actually made it into the playoffs. And Eddie Murray missed the last-second field goal. Otherwise, they would have beat the 49ers, who went on to lose to the Redskins, who wound up losing to the Raiders in the Super Bowl that year. But, I mean, that was a very good 49er team. Joe Montana, the team of the 80s, I guess, that you could call the Niners. And that Lion team with Gary Danielson almost beat them at Candlestick in a playoff game. So there was a time where the Lions could be somewhat competitive, or at least maybe surprise, even like with Wayne Fontes there. But now it just seems like no matter what they do, there's something like that happened yesterday. I mean, for 2 straight years, blowing a double-digit fourth quarter lead at home is not a good way to start the season, to say the least.
They had one, too, in 2015 against the Chargers as well. I think they were up 24-0, I want to say,
that's
and they
right.
lost 27-24.
It's just, I guess it's a yearly thing. It's kind of a rite of passage for Lions fans.
Well, that's what happens when, outside of Darius Slay, and again, a few years of Dre Bly, he wasn't even there the whole time. You don't have good corners. You don't have good safeties. And you've had, like I said, with player development, they've had trouble with inconsistencies with pass rushers, too. Defensive tackle, they actually do well with interior guys, but...
Yeah, Gary Ball, I remember,
Yeah, it seems like historically they do well with that, but pass rushers, just corners in general, they've always had trouble with it. So, again...
you're right. Right. So, other things I noticed on the week 1 of the NFL season, you have the Eagles blowing a big second-half lead against the Redskins, and no one thought the Redskins were going to be
the Washington football team.
Right? I mean, and they don't even have a name, for crying out loud. And then the Eagles are a team, won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They drafted Jalen Hurts. There's talk about would he be able to take over for Carson Wentz. You know that their offensive line definitely has some issues if Washington sacks you 8 times.
Yeah.
And it seems like Wentz was, kind of running for his life there in the second half. But they blew a 17-0 lead, and the Eagles, who most people would probably predict to be right up there with the Cowboys to win the NFC East.
I think they're better.
It's not a very good way to start the season for them. Eagle fans, thank God they won a Super Bowl a couple years ago. Maybe they're not as psychotic as they normally would be, but that's a bad way for them to start the season as well.
Yeah, I think they're always one of those teams that's always not a great, like, high-flying starting team. Besides 2016, Carson Wentz's rookie year, when they started 3-0, and then they had a bye week, and then they fell off badly after that, and ended up finishing last in the division. Beyond that, it seems like they're always more, they get it going later in the season, and I think that's the kind of coach Doug Peterson is, the kind of the way the roster construction is. There's a lot of depth. There's no like obvious. Well, there are stars, but there's no like for a lot of positions. There's no obvious guys that are gonna they're gonna fill those voids. But they have a lot of depth, and that's what ends up helping. But again, the one thing that concerns me though with the 8 sacks is this is a team that's always been great, known for a great offensive line. It's always been a strength of their team. Now, a lot of the times you have quarterbacks that, whether it's because of mobility or because of the coaching with the offensive play calling or the skills of the wide receivers, the running backs, they can get away with I'm not going to say a below-average offensive line, but an average offensive line. We saw the Seahawks do that a lot. We saw the Broncos when they went to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl. Their line wasn't amazing. It was okay. It was serviceable. So we see those kinds of things. But the Eagles, it was always a top-notch unit for them. No Brandon Brooks this year. He was out for the season. He got injured in June, I think it was. No Lane Johnson. I thought it would be a little easier for them to rotate their guys in because Jason Peters is back now. They drafted Andre Dillard, who played a little bit for them last year. Maybe the guy they were missing is the guy that was versatile everywhere, Hal Vaitai, and maybe some of the linemen they were playing just didn't fit that kind of complicated scheme right away. And I think if that's going to be an issue for the Eagles, that'll be more of an issue than people think because these skill players, I like some of their receivers. I'm not saying they have awful receivers, but it's not the units you can expect to make up for it. And same thing with the running backs, too. They didn't have much of a running game in this game either.
No, I mean, and last year, I think the funny stat about Carson Wentz is he became the first quarterback in NFL history to throw for 4,000 yards without having a wide receiver that had 500 yards receiving. So it could be, they made other options available to him last year, and they found a way. But that is not a good way for them to start the season. Another thing I noticed last year, one thing that got my attention when I was looking at the Cardinals play, was Kyler Murray was better than I expected. But the other thing is they always played the 49ers tough. In both of their regular season games, I thought they should have won. And they started off their season by beating them yesterday. And, Larry Fitzgerald making a big play where he saved time that led to them scoring.
Yep, smart veteran play.
I think there are that's a very good sign for the Cardinals. You have Hopkins with 14 catches under 51 yards. Same thing with Devontae Adams with 14 catches too. So that was their high for the day. But for the Cardinals getting off to that start, where a lot of people, they were kind of like that cute pick to be a playoff team. And Kyler Murray was a guy that a lot of people liked the way he played during his rookie year. I think he's still in college. What can we tell a little bit of the difference between Kyler Murray and the Browns quarterback?
Baker Mayfield?
Escaping me.
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield, yeah. I mean, just, same program, same type of expectations. And, the Browns get blown out and the Cardinals wind up beating, as far as opponents that figure to be the best in their conference, you have two totally different results. So, what did you think about that?
All right, we got to make this quick because we are wise guys up in 3 minutes. But I actually was one of the people that had Arizona as a playoff team at the start of the year.
Okay.
So I had them. I already knew they were going to be this good. What I saw from them last year, I think, especially against the 49ers, like you were saying, but also against other teams like the Ravens and even against the Seahawks. They beat the Seahawks once, too. They played well against tough teams. They had one of the toughest schedules in the league last year. I thought the NFC West wasn't going to have barely any playoff teams. They had 2, and they had another one in the Rams that wasn't far behind. But the way the Cardinals played on that kind of schedule, combined with their offseason, I thought they had the best draft. I thought they had one of the best off seasons. I love some of the defensive players they brought in. Guys like Devondre Campbell, some of their pass rushers, they played really well in that game, too. That was one of the more underrated aspects of that game. You had a guy like Dre Kirkpatrick, who had a couple penalties, but beyond that played well in the slot against a 49ers team that loves to use their slot receivers, and that was a big key for them, too. Jordan Hicks played well in that game, so a lot of their defensive players ended up stepping up for them. And again, I think this is a team that, assuming the coaching is there, and Cliff Kingsbury did coach well in that game, because he has been kind of streaky so far. Sometimes he gets too run happy at times. Sometimes he gets too spread happy. Like he'll overcommit to something. That's really the one downside with him that I found. But if they can game plan well and do well, this is a very talented team. And with a lot of questions in the NFC West, with the Seahawks, with their pass rush, with the Rams, with a lot of different things on that team, even though they won, still some question marks. This is definitely a team that can make noise. And you're right. I picked the Cardinals for that reason. I saw it coming. The identity that they had worked against the 49ers. And when you have a 49ers team that's as good as they are, they want to stick to what you're good at and not try to change for another team. But they might have to change for Arizona at this rate.
Right. But before we go, only one guy rushed for 100 yards in Week 1. That was the Chiefs running back on opening
Clyde
day.
Edwards-Helaire, yep.
Yeah, so he was the only guy that rushed for 100 yards. He had, I believe, like 13.
Didn't Kyler Murray rush for 100 yards?
What?
Did Kyler Murray rush for 100 yards? I thought he did.
As far as running backs.
Oh, you're talking about just running backs.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And then you had 14 guys with 100 yards receiving. So there's a little bit of a change now, and maybe in how the game's being played too. With
no more feature backs, right?
Having more of an identity to it. But that's it for tonight. You guys will be back next week here on Down to the Wire. I am filling in for Errol Marks here. My name is Mark Everett Kelly. Speedy Petey, and we will see you next week.
You're listening to the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.